Hi, I'm Eric Summerer, and here's what's coming from the Dice Tower this week.
Hey folks, welcome to the Dice Tower news for April 2nd, 2013. Now, I normally put out my news on a Monday, but this week, obviously today is Tuesday. I did that for a couple reasons. One is because normally I do the news on Monday, and on Tuesday we put out our episode of the Dice Tower that week. But I wanted to get out our episode yesterday because it was a big episode. Episode 300 of the Dice Tower, and also because it was a bit of an April Fool's episode. A bit. You'll have to go listen to it. It's a mega episode, so that's Dice Tower 300. But anyhow, another reason I waited for today is because no one believes any of the news that you say on April 1st. It's just a bad day for the internet in general to believe anything. So anyhow, here we are with the news, so let's get to it. If you missed my series of videos that I put out last week, where I went to the Gamma Trade Show and we interviewed lots of people, we talked about the state of the board gaming hobby and Kickstarter and about the Gamma Trade Show itself, you really should check those videos out. You can find all of them in our recently played videos from last week. But, that being said, there has been some news since then. Let's get to it. First of all, Victory Point Games has announced that they're going to be doing a expansion for the Crown, which is their game that mixes Dominion and chess. That sounds horrific, but it's actually a very good, exciting game. Their first expansion is coming out called Shock and Awe. Then, now this one seems like it's an odd story. Well, it is an odd story, but it's actually true. It's not an April Fool's joke. Again, this is why I announced it today rather than yesterday. DVG Games has announced a new version of Hornet Leader, which is their game in which you're flying airplanes and going on missions and accomplishing them in modern aircraft or even a little bit in the future. Except this time it's Hornet Leader Cthulhu. You're fighting Cthulhu. I'm not making that up. AEG has shown some more pictures of their game Trains. It's looking really good. The reprint of the Japanese Dominion clone. 1A Games, this is older news, but I wanted to reinstate it here. 1A Games has bought the license for Tide of Iron from Fantasy Flight Games. Fantasy Flight Games has given them their stock, and they're going to be reprinting it, basically almost virtually identical to the way the game is now, with more expansions coming on the way, the first one to show up at Gen Con. Ares Game has a page up where you can now go to the website and find out more about their Sales of Glory, which is just smashing all goals on Kickstarter. Fantasy Flight Games also talks about the Labyrinth of Ruin, their newest upcoming expansion for Descent. And I have to say, in regards to Descent, Fantasy Flight Games indicated at the Gamma Trade Show that they're really going to be supporting Descent 2.0, and a lot of things are planned for it, so that's very exciting. Eminent Domain just put up their expansion on Kickstarter called Escalation, and that has been doing very well if you're interested in that. So lots of exciting games. This is the best time of year for news about board games. I'm very excited. Let's go on. Our news story for the week, or at least in my opinion, is from Bezier Games, Ultimate Werewolf Inquisition. Now, this is not another expansion because Ted Alsbach keeps coming out with Ultimate Werewolf, the Ultimate Edition, and then the Ultimate Beyond Ultimate Edition, or what have you, and there's lots of expansions. He has by far the definitive version of Werewolf. Hasn't stopped other people from making their own version of Werewolf. The Cards Against Humanity folks just made their own version on Kickstarter, which succeeded. But again, I think that's kind of pointless since there already is the Ultimate Werewolf Edition. But this is a standalone game that will be coming out later this year, and in it, you are a group of people who are come inquisitors to find out who the werewolves are, and then you find out that, hey, some of you are also werewolves. How is this different from the regular werewolf game? Well, that I don't know yet, but I do find it fascinating that it is a separate, different game. So keep an eye out for that. Reviews! Ryan Metzler is going to be talking about Cartuna, Saint Malo, Unit, and Clubs. Barry is going to be talking about Wooly Bully. Bart will be taking a look at the miniatures game that did very well on Kickstarter called Sedition Wars. And Scott Fair is going to take a look at the very popular game, Escape. I'll be going over this week Trajan, the very silly party game Ugtech. This game that's anything but beautiful, but a racing game, Hot Rod Creeps. The newest expansion for Dungeon Command, The Blood of Grumsh. This little game here called Hello Sunshine. The expansions for Fantastica. The junior version of Swish, a little game called Help Me. This fantastic worker placement game called Yido. This indie game, Deserted Animals. And Hoplomachus, The Lost Cities. And then I played this game with my daughter, Le Havre, for 2 players, so we'll be reviewing that. But then I decided to teach her the regular game, so we'll be taking a look back at the original version of Le Havre, and then we have a small secret dice game. All this coming. In the Dice Tower Network this week, I haven't put out these videos for a while, so there's been a lot of episodes. So we're just going to talk about some of the recent ones, although you can find out all about all the different podcasts that we have at dicetowernetwork.com, or you can go to our website, Dice Tower, and click on the subscribe all if you just like to be overwhelmed with board gaming podcasts. Little Metal Dog number 55. Oh, you know what? We're going to come back to that one. Shut Up and Sit Down has redone their site completely. They've gone a little bit commercial, but they've really improved the quality. Not that their quality was bad before. You'll have to go check their website out. Flip the Table number 25 talks about Survivor. Yeah, they never do good games, so, well, it's still, I think this is a step up from some of their previous games. The Gamers Atlas has put out a new video where he compares All-Pro Hockey and Power Play. Really high quality in this video, folks, so you should go check that out. The Geek All-Stars talk about 2 board games, Ground Floor, an economic game about building a business, and Manhattan, which is about, well, destroying all businesses, I suppose. Rolling Dice and Taking Names, number 8. And they talk about Tabletop Gaming Day, which I guess I should have put in the news section. That was a big deal this past Saturday. Lots of people played games. And they also talk about starting your own game club. And then The Long View, they have an episode that isn't posted yet, but will be soon, in which they take a detailed look at Glory to Rome with special guest Tony Boydell. Well, Little Metal Dog 55 I mentioned here. With Michael Fox, where he interviews the designer and creator of The Emperor's New Clothes, which is a Kickstarter which just closed. Now, The Emperor's New Clothes is a Kickstarter that I did not mention while it was in process. It is associated with Game Salute, who I've designed a game for and who we do our news through, our website, Game Bugle. And I had some thoughts on the project, and I didn't want to really influence the project one way or the other, which is why I've kind of kept quiet till the project is over. The project was an interesting one. Basically, what they did is they came in and they talked about this great, fantastic game, and then they would show you all the components, which were completely blank. A blank rule book, white components, a white box, everything was white. They would talk about how fantastic everything was and about this big, made-up, terrific game. But in reality, there was no game. There is no game. This project, the actual reality of it is twofold. One, it's a box of prototype pieces, if you want all white prototype pieces, which I can't imagine why that would be useful. But let's say you did want that. That's what this project was for. And well, I guess 3 reasons. The second reason would be so that you can sit around and pretend to play this fantastic game in public, and people come up and watch you, and you can play like a joke on them. And then the third reason was some sort of social message or even irony on the fact that it was called The Emperor's New Clothes. Now, that is where my initial reaction to this was one of dislike. Now, I'm a big fan of jokes, and I like jokes a lot, but the joke here involved other people's money. Now, you can say, and justly so, that people get what they pay for. The campaign never really lied. I mean, it did make up this big how great the game was, and had reviewers who were on board who said how great the game was. They never lied, though. They said what you get is exactly, and I mean, all the terminology, it was pretty obvious if you really went through it with a fine-tooth comb that something was up. Now, they announced what that something was up on April 1st, which was, or the day before April 1st, which was basically a day before it closed. And I was a little wary about that too, because I thought they should have announced it maybe a week before it closed, because when they did announce it, the amount of money that people kickstarted it with went down dramatically. But what bothered me about the whole situation wasn't the project. Okay, it's interesting, and again, people aren't being suckered into it. But what bothered me about it was the fact that it was such an ironic thing. The story of the Emperor's New Clothes, if you might remember, is about an emperor who has some tailors come to town, and they say, we're going to make you the greatest clothes, and they design these clothes, and they say how awesome these clothes are, and everybody else, they say that only wise people can see them, so everybody else doesn't want to appear like they're stupid, so everyone says that they can see them. Everyone talks about how wonderful it is that they can see them. And so the emperor's walking down the street, naked or in his underwear, whatever version you're reading, and everyone's looking and going, wow, it's great, until a little kid says, there's nothing there. And then everyone feels stupid because he says the emperor's wearing no clothes. So if we take that analogy to this project, here we have this project, and everyone, reviewers and other people are saying, oh, this is so great. And they say, we're having fun about it. And then one of us says, there's nothing there. There's nothing in the game. All these enlightened people turn to you and say, you have no sense of fun. You have no sense of humor. This is for people who really enjoy games. And they are acting exactly like the people in the Emperor's Clothes. And I'm not sure whether that was intentional or not. Well, who knows? So anyhow, it is what it is. The project was funded. I don't think anyone who pledged for the project is going to be upset about what they get, and they'll probably walk around pridefully showing off their new game, while the rest of us, hopefully like little kids, say, really? You paid for that? And they'll get their joy from it. We get our joy from not having supported it, I suppose. I would prefer to put our energies and a ton of energy went into this project. I would have preferred that energy went into actually creating a good game. But it is what it is, like I said. So I'm not really smashing on the game. I just find it ironic, and especially when I see someone dare to say that's not a good game, and then everyone jumps down their throat, oh, what's wrong with you? Come on now. No one's stupid, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but I don't know. It's the very definition of irony. It's not going to change Kickstarter. It will be a blip on the radar. People might still talk about it in a year, but I doubt it. But it was something interesting, and guess what? It's over. Well, that's it for this time. I bet you weren't expecting a rant involved in the news, but that's okay. Lots of fun things going on. Very exciting. I have so many new games to play, so many things to do. Exciting. It's great. It's great. With the convention season is approaching, but in April, May, like I said, I showed you all the reviews. We're going to be doing a lot of reviews. We'll be taking a look at new games and old games, and one of the things that we did in our Kickstarter for the Dice Tower was we said that you were going to get to choose which games we reviewed. The overwhelming winner for that was Netrunner. Then there was a game called I Am Vlad, and several other popular games, and we will be doing our best. I have those games here behind me over here. You can't see them, but they're on the shelves. I'm playing them as fast as I can so that we can review them. But you know what, folks? There's just so much content. So many things to look at, top 10 lists. Just have fun. But you know what? In all this and all the jokes, whether it's the Emperor's New Clothes, whether you're listening to the news from Remy Gibson, which comes out 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whether you're reading our website, Game Bugle for news, or, all the things that I tell you to do. Look, I think the internet's fantastic. Go buy games. Read about games. Read reviews. Watch your stuff. But you know what, guys? Go out and play some games, okay? Turn this off. Go play a game. Stop listening to them talk, listening about them and talking about them. Go play some. I promise, it's a lot of fun.
Find all this and more at Dicetower.com. See you soon.
When there's so much entertainment in the world, I don't know why anyone would choose the Dice Tower.